You are on HOA violation vault. She tried to turn neighbors into witnesses against me. I am here to enforce, Melissa Garner yells, blocking the package room door with one arm while jabbing her phone screen toward my face. The door log had my name, and she would not show it. I step back from the mail kiosk and hold up both hands. I did not take anything. She cuts me off. A torn padded mailer appeared near your bins this morning. That is proof. I freeze. My bins. Harbor Point Residential Association rules say trash day is Thursday. Today is Tuesday. I set nothing out early. Melissa slams a red stamp onto her clipboard without letting me see the page. I will escalate this immediately. You are banned from the fitness center and the clubhouse until this is resolved. I work as a logistics coordinator. I know what documentation looks like. I asked to see the door log entry she mentioned. She turns the phone away. I already submitted everything. It is with management. That makes no sense. If she submitted it, why is she confronting me in the parking lot instead of letting the process run? I ask when she submitted it. She ignores the question and waves the clipboard. You are lucky I am not harsher. I could have called the police immediately. A neighbor walking to her car slows down and watches. Melissa raises her voice. This resident has been caught stealing packages. I have the evidence right here. The neighbor frowns and keeps walking. Melissa tracks her with her eyes, then turns back to me. You have until end of business today to provide an explanation, or I am filing a formal complaint with the board and notifying the tow company that your vehicle violated the guest parking overnight rule. I parked in my assigned spot. I have the space number on my lease. She taps her clipboard. The space number does not matter if you are under investigation for theft. Association policy allows suspension of parking privileges during active compliance reviews. I asked to see that policy in writing. She pulls a laminated sheet from under the clipboard and waves it in the air, tilting it so I cannot read the text. It is all here. You can request a copy through the management portal, but processing takes 5 business days. 5 business days. I am trying to refinance my condo, and the lender needs a letter confirming no liens or violations. Any complaint she files could delay that letter and wreck the closing timeline. I ask her to walk me through what she thinks happened. She crosses her arms. A package was delivered to your unit yesterday at 3:20 in the afternoon. The carrier scanned it. This morning at 6:45, I found a torn mailer near your trash bins with your address label partially visible. The contents were missing. I pull out my phone and open my Doorbell app. I have footage of my porch from yesterday. Nothing was delivered at 3:20. She steps closer and leans in. That proves nothing. You could have deleted the clip. Doorbell cameras do not work that way. The footage uploads automatically to the cloud. Deleting it locally does not erase the server copy, and the timestamp metadata is permanent. She waves her hand dismissively. I have messages proving it. She holds up her phone and swipes through screens too fast for me to read anything. I ask if she can forward those messages to me. She pulls the phone back. That is confidential board communication. You do not have clearance. A second neighbor, an older man I have seen at the mailboxes before, walks past and stops. Everything okay here? Melissa turns toward him. This resident is under investigation for package theft. I am handling it. The man looks at me, then at Melissa, then shakes his head and keeps walking. Melissa watches him go, then pulls a small portable printer from her shoulder bag and sets it on top of the mailbox kiosk. She taps her phone screen and the printer hums to life, spitting out a single sheet. She hands me the sheet. This is your official notice. You have until 5 this evening to respond in writing, or I am proceeding with penalties. The page has a Harbor Point letterhead template at the top, and a paragraph of text I can barely skim before she starts talking again. Failure to respond constitutes an admission of guilt under Section 12 of the bylaws. I fold the notice and tuck it into my jacket. I will respond, but I need to see the door log and the original complaint form. She shakes her head. Those are privileged documents during an active investigation. That is not how this works. I am the subject of the complaint. I have a right to see the evidence. She picks up the printer and drops it back into her bag. You can file a records request through the management company. Processing takes up to 10 business days. 10 business days. My refinance is supposed to close in 8. I head back to my unit and pull up the doorbell footage on my laptop. Yesterday at 3:20, my porch was empty. No carrier, no package. I scroll forward. At 4:15, a delivery driver drops a small box on the mat and leaves. At 4:18, I open the door and bring the box inside. That box is still on my kitchen counter, unopened. I export the clip and email it to the management company with a brief explanation. Then I check my trash area. The bins are still inside my private patio gate, not visible from the common area. I walk around to the guest parking side of the building. Near the trash enclosure gate, I spot a torn padded mailer half tucked under a bush. I crouch down and take photos without touching it. The address label is partially torn, but I can make out a unit number. It is not my unit. It is Unit 214, 2 buildings over. I text my neighbor Caleb, who lives in the same building and was on the HOA board last year before he quit in frustration. He responds within a minute. Melissa has been doing this for months. She targets someone, makes up a violation, then uses the threat of fines or towing to pressure compliance on unrelated issues. Last month, she tried to get a guy banned from the gym because he questioned a landscaping contract she pushed through without competitive bids. I ask if he has any documentation. He sends me a screenshot of a group text from 3 months ago where another resident mentions finding identical violation notices in multiple mailboxes on the same day, all printed with the same template and the same timestamp metadata. Melissa claimed they were sent weeks apart, but the metadata proved otherwise. I save the screenshot and add it to a folder. Then I call the management company. The receptionist transfers me to the property manager, a woman named Linda, who sounds exhausted before I even finish explaining. Linda, I say, Melissa Garner handed me a notice this morning claiming I stole a package. I have doorbell footage proving I did not. I also found the actual mailer near the trash enclosure, and it is addressed to a different unit. Linda sighs. Did she file the complaint through the portal? I ask if she can check. Linda puts me on hold. 2 minutes later, she comes back. I do not see anything submitted under your name or unit. Let me search by her name. Another pause. Okay, I see 3 forms submitted this morning, at 8:14, 8:16, and 8:17. All identical, all listing different unit numbers. 3 forms, minutes apart. That matches the pattern Caleb described. Linda continues. The system flags duplicate submissions, but she uploaded them as separate incidents, so the flag did not trigger. I am going to need to escalate this to the board president. If you are enjoying this HOA nightmare, hit subscribe so you do not miss the next chaotic showdown. I ask Linda what happens in the meantime. She pauses. Technically, until the board reviews it, the notice is not enforceable. But if she threatened your parking or amenity access, I need to document that because it is outside her authority as compliance chair. I forward her the photos of the torn mailer and the doorbell footage. Then I head to the fitness center to see if Melissa actually blocked my access. I scan my key fob at the door. The lock clicks red and the panel beeps. Access denied. I take a photo of the panel and text it to Linda. She responds immediately. That is not okay. I am reversing it now. Give me 5 minutes. While I wait, Melissa appears from around the corner of the building, walking fast with her phone pressed to her ear. She spots me and ends the call. "You are not supposed to be here. Linda just told me the notice is not enforceable." Melissa steps closer. "I am reporting you to the police for trespassing and theft." She raises her phone and starts recording. "I want this on record. This resident is violating a direct compliance order and intimidating an HOA officer." I stay calm and keep my hands visible. I am standing in a common area that I pay dues to access. I have not touched you or threatened you. She circles around me, keeping the phone camera aimed at my face. "You are creating a hostile environment. I have witnesses who will testify to your pattern of aggression." A woman walking her dog slows down and watches. Melissa pivots toward her. "Excuse me, this resident has been accused of theft and is now harassing me. Can you stay as a witness?" The dog walker frowns. "I just got here. I did not see anything." Melissa keeps recording. "Your presence is enough. I need documentation that I felt unsafe." The dog walker shakes her head and walks away. Melissa lowers the phone and glares at me. "You think you are clever. You think your little video erases the fact that someone in this complex is stealing packages, and I have every reason to believe it is you." I pull out my own phone and open the photos I took of the torn mailer. The address label clearly shows Unit 214. I turn the screen toward her. "This is the mailer you claimed was mine." "It is not." She glances at the screen and looks away. "That does not prove you did not take the contents." "The contents were never delivered. The mailer is empty because whoever tore it open realized it was not theirs and dumped it." She shakes her head. "You are speculating. I have documentation." I ask her to show me. She taps her clipboard. "It is all here. I filed everything this morning." "Linda just told me you filed 3 forms in 3 minutes, all identical, with different unit numbers." Melissa goes still. Her face hardens. "That is a lie." "It is not. The portal timestamps are public record for any resident named in a complaint. I can request them." She steps back. "You are twisting the facts. Those submissions were corrections. The system glitched." "Corrections to what? You said you already submitted everything." She turns and walks toward the parking lot. "This conversation is over. I am calling my attorney." I let her go and head back to my unit. My phone buzzes. It is Linda. "I just spoke to the board president. He wants a meeting tomorrow morning at the management office. 9 sharp. Melissa will be there. Bring your footage and any other evidence you have." I thank her and start organizing files. Doorbell footage. Photos of the torn mailer. Screenshot of the group text Caleb sent. The notice Melissa printed on the spot. The access denial photo. That night, Caleb texts me again. "Be careful tomorrow." Melissa does not back down. Last time someone challenged her in a meeting, she brought a vendor rep to pressure them. It was a landscaper she had a side deal with. The vendor claimed the resident owed fees for a service request that never happened. Took months to untangle. I ask which vendor. He sends a name, Evergreen Property Services. They handle towing for the complex too. Towing. That clicks. Melissa threatened to have my car towed for a guest parking violation I did not commit. If she has a relationship with the tow company, she could pressure them to back her story. I search my email for any correspondence with Evergreen. Nothing. I check the Harbor Point resident portal and find a copy of the current vendor contract. Towing requires written authorization from the property manager or the board president. The compliance chair can request a tow, but it has to be approved. I screenshot the policy and add it to my folder. The next morning, I arrive at the management office at 8:50. Linda meets me in the lobby and walks me to a conference room. Melissa is already there, sitting at the far end of the table with a thick binder in front of her and her portable printer on the chair beside her. The board president, a man in his 60s named Richard, sits at the head of the table. Richard nods at me. "Thanks for coming. Let us keep this straightforward. Melissa, you filed a complaint. Walk us through it." Melissa opens the binder and pulls out a packet. A package addressed to this resident was delivered Monday at 3:20 in the afternoon. Tuesday morning, I found a torn mailer near his trash area with his address partially visible. The contents were missing. I have photos, timestamps, and a witness statement from a neighbor who saw him acting suspiciously near the trash enclosure Friday night. I lean forward. What witness? Melissa flips a page. The witness prefers to remain anonymous. Richard frowns. "Melissa, anonymous statements are not admissible under our bylaws. You know that." Melissa closes the binder. "Fine. I will provide the name privately. But the photographic evidence stands." I pull out my tablet and open the doorbell footage. I cue it to Monday at 3:20. "Richard, I have video of my porch from that entire afternoon. There was no delivery at 3:20. The only delivery was at 4:15, and I brought that package inside immediately." I turn the tablet toward Richard and Linda. They watch the clip. Richard makes a note on his pad. Melissa interrupts. "He could have edited the footage." Linda shakes her head. Doorbell cameras upload to the cloud automatically. The metadata is time-stamped by the server. If he edited it, the timestamp would show a gap or a modification flag. Melissa taps her binder, then explained the torn mailer with his address. I swipe to the photos on my tablet. I found the mailer Tuesday morning. It was not near my trash area. It was near the guest parking enclosure, and the address label shows Unit 214, not my unit. I zoom in on the photo. Richard leans closer and reads the label. He looks at Melissa. "This does not match the unit you listed in the complaint." Melissa pulls another page from her binder and slides it across the table. The label was partially torn. I reconstructed the number from context. Linda picks up the page. This is a printout of a portal screenshot. It does not show the original mailer. It shows a text summary you typed. Melissa folds her arms. I documented it properly. If there was an error in transcription, that is not grounds to dismiss the complaint. Richard sets down his pen. "Melissa, Linda told me you filed 3 identical forms Monday morning within 3 minutes. Can you explain that?" Melissa pauses. The portal was glitching. I resubmitted to make sure it went through. Linda opens her laptop and turns it toward Richard. The forms are identical, except for the unit numbers. Same timestamp metadata, same template file name, same creation date. They were not corrections. They were separate submissions targeting 3 different residents. Richard looks at Melissa. "Who are the other 2 residents?" Melissa does not answer. Linda reads from the screen. Unit 117 and Unit 322. I recognize Unit 117. That is Caleb. I ask Richard if I can pull up a text Caleb sent me. Richard nods. I open the message thread and show the screenshot Caleb forwarded from 3 months ago. It is a group text where residents are comparing violation notices they all received on the same day, all with identical timestamps. Richard studies the image. "Melissa, this is a pattern. You have used this tactic before." Melissa stands up. "I am trying to enforce the rules. If residents do not like it, they can vote me out." Richard taps the table. "Sit down. We are not done." Melissa sits, but keeps her arms crossed. Richard continues. "The compliance chair has authority to issue notices, but not to unilaterally suspend parking or amenity access. You told this resident he was banned from the fitness center. That was outside your authority." Melissa pulls the laminated policy sheet from her binder and sets it on the table. Section 12 allows immediate suspension during active investigations. Linda picks up the sheet and scans it. This is a draft policy from 2 years ago. It was never voted into the bylaws. Melissa goes pale. It was approved. Richard shakes his head. No, it was not. I was president when that draft was proposed. It failed at the vote because it gave too much unilateral power to the compliance chair. Melissa stands again. This is a witch hunt. You are twisting procedure to protect a thief. Richard raises his voice. Sit down, Melissa. She does not sit. She grabs her binder and walks toward the door. I am done with this. I will take this to an attorney. Linda stands. If you leave now, I will have no choice but to recommend your removal as compliance chair. Melissa stops at the door. You do not have that authority. Richard stands. I do, and I am calling an emergency board vote tonight. If you are not willing to cooperate with this process, you are not fit for the role. Melissa slams the door on her way out. The portable printer falls off the chair and clatters to the floor. Richard exhales and sits back down. I apologize. This has gotten out of hand. I ask what happens next. Richard rubs his forehead. The board will vote tonight. In the meantime, all complaints filed by Melissa in the last 6 months are under review. Linda, can you pull those files? Linda nods. I will have a list by noon. I thank them and head back to my unit. An hour later, Caleb texts. Melissa just posted in the neighborhood group chat claiming you bribed the management company to cover up theft. She is saying the board is corrupt and she is the only one standing up for safety. I open the group chat. Melissa has posted a long message with photos of the torn mailer, the mailbox kiosk, and a cropped screenshot of a portal page that does not show any context. Her caption reads, "This resident was caught red-handed and the board is protecting him. I have been silenced for doing my job. If you care about your property values, demand accountability." 3 residents have already reacted with thumbs-up emojis. One has commented asking for more details. I screenshot the post and send it to Linda. She responds within minutes. I am forwarding this to Richard. This is defamation and harassment. She is making it worse for herself. By mid-afternoon, the group chat has exploded. Caleb posts a message explaining the pattern of fake complaints and identical timestamps. Another former board member chimes in with a story about Melissa threatening a vendor contract to pressure a landscaper into backing her up on a fake noise complaint. A third resident mentions finding supplies missing from the clubhouse storage room and seeing Melissa leaving with a shopping bag. That last comment stops me. Missing supplies. I open my notes and add it to the list. Caleb texts again. Check your email. Richard just sent an emergency meeting notice for tonight at 7. All residents invited. I open the email. The subject line reads, Special Board Meeting Compliance Chair Conduct. The body is brief. In light of recent complaints and evidence of procedural violations, the board will vote on the removal of the compliance chair and the suspension of all pending complaints filed without proper authorization. At 6:30, I walk to the clubhouse. The parking lot is already full. Inside, the main room is packed. Richard stands at the front with Linda and 2 other board members. Melissa sits alone in the front row with her binder on her lap and her phone in her hand. Richard calls the meeting to order. Thank you all for coming. Tonight, we are addressing serious concerns about the conduct of our compliance chair. I want to be clear, this is not about personal disagreements. This is about abuse of authority and violations of our governing documents. He projects a slide on the screen behind him. It shows a list of complaints filed by Melissa over the last 6 months. 14 complaints. 9 were dismissed after review. 3 are still under investigation. 2 resulted in fines, but both residents have filed appeals. Linda stands and adds, in addition, we have documented instances where the compliance chair suspended resident access to amenities without board approval, issued notices based on draft policies that were never ratified, and filed multiple duplicate complaints with altered details. Melissa stands. This is slander. I have documentation proving every complaint was legitimate. Richard does not look at her. Melissa, you will have a chance to respond. Sit down. She does not sit. She holds up her phone. I am recording this. I want it on record that this board is retaliating against me for enforcing rules they do not like. One of the other board members, a woman named Joan, stands. Melissa, retaliation is not the issue. The issue is that you lied about evidence, fabricated witness statements, and used threats to coerce residents into compliance on unrelated matters. Melissa points at me. He is the one who started this. He filed a complaint against me because I caught him stealing. I stay seated and do not respond. Richard nods at me. Do you want to present your evidence? I stand and walk to the front. I connect my tablet to the projector and pull up the doorbell footage. I play the clip from Monday showing no delivery at 3:20. Then I show the photos of the torn mailer with the Unit 214 label. Finally, I display the screenshot Caleb sent showing the group text about identical violation notices. The room is silent. Richard asks, "Does anyone have questions?" A man in the back raises his hand. I live in Unit 214. I have been missing packages for weeks. I filed a report with the front desk, but nothing happened. Linda makes a note. We will follow up with you after the meeting. Another resident stands. I am the one Melissa claims saw this guy acting suspiciously. I never said that. She asked me if I had seen anyone near the trash area Friday night, and I said no. The next day, she told me I was listed as a witness. I asked her to remove my name, and she said it was too late. Melissa spins toward the resident. You said you saw someone. I documented it accurately. The resident shakes his head. No, I did not. You are lying. Richard interrupts. Melissa, you have repeatedly misrepresented facts and manipulated evidence. The board has no choice but to remove you as compliance chair effective immediately. Melissa starts yelling. You cannot do this. I will sue. I will report this association to the state. I will make sure everyone knows what you did. Joan stands. Melissa, you need to leave. Now. Melissa grabs her binder and storms toward the door. As she passes my row, she stops and leans in. This is not over. I know people. I will make sure you regret this. Richard raises his voice. Melissa, if you threaten him again, I am calling the police. She leaves. The door slams. The room exhales. Richard turns back to the projector. We are also conducting an audit of all vendor contracts Melissa approved or influenced. If anyone has concerns about a specific vendor interaction, please email Linda directly. A woman near the front raises her hand. I work as a clerk at the tow yard Evergreen uses for this complex. Melissa called me 2 weeks ago and tried to pressure me into authorizing a tow without a work order. She said it was an emergency and she would send the paperwork later. I told her I could not do it without written authorization from the property manager. She hung up on me. I recognized the voice. It is the extra witness Caleb mentioned, a resident who was previously targeted. She continues. She called back the next day and said if I did not cooperate, she would recommend terminating the contract. I reported it to my supervisor, but I did not know who to tell on the HOA side. Linda writes quickly, "Can you send me a copy of that report?" The woman nods. "I have the email thread. I will forward it tonight." Richard thanks her and moves to the vote. All in favor of removing Melissa Garner as compliance chair and suspending all complaints filed without proper board authorization. 5 hands go up. No one opposes. Richard continues. All in favor of requiring the compliance chair role to be reformed with new checks and oversight, including mandatory board review for any access suspensions or vendor authorizations. 5 hands again. Richard closes his notebook. This meeting is adjourned. Linda will follow up with affected residents individually. If you have additional evidence or concerns, please reach out to her directly. People start filing out. Caleb catches me near the door. That was brutal. You okay? I nod. I just want this over. He grins. It is not over yet. Melissa is going to escalate. She always does. He is right. The next morning, I wake up to a dozen missed calls from a number I do not recognize. I check my voicemail. It is Melissa. Her voice is clipped and furious. You think you won. You destroyed my reputation and I am not letting it go. I am filing a police report for theft and harassment. I have witnesses. I have evidence. You are going to jail. I save the voicemail and forward it to Linda. Then I call the non-emergency line for the Seattle Police Department. I explain the situation. The dispatcher asks if I feel threatened. I pause. She has not made a direct physical threat, but she is escalating and making false accusations. I am worried about what she might do next. The dispatcher takes my information and says an officer will follow up. 2 hours later, a deputy knocks on my door. I show him the doorbell footage, the photos, the voicemail, and the meeting notes. He takes a statement and gives me an incident number. He says, if she files a report, we will investigate both sides. Based on what you have shown me, I do not think her claim will hold up. But document everything. If she contacts you again, do not engage. Let us know immediately. I thank him and close the door. My phone buzzes. It is Linda. Melissa just showed up at the management office with a lawyer. Richard is handling it. Stay available in case we need you. An hour later, Richard calls. Melissa and her attorney demanded a retraction of the board vote and reinstatement as compliance chair. We declined. Her attorney threatened to sue for defamation and wrongful removal. I told him we have documentation and we are prepared to defend the decision. He backed off after I mentioned the vendor pressure incident and the fake witness statement. I ask if that is the end of it. Richard laughs bitterly. I wish. Melissa is not going away quietly. But the board is united. We are not reversing the vote. That afternoon, I checked the neighborhood group chat. Melissa has posted again. She has been wrongfully terminated and is pursuing legal action. She claims the board violated her due process rights and she has proof of corruption. The post has 2 reactions, both question marks. Caleb replies with a link to the meeting minutes Linda posted on the portal. The minutes include a summary of the evidence, the vote tally, and a note that all affected residents have been contacted. 3 other residents reply with supportive comments. Melissa does not respond. 2 days later, I get a call from the tow yard clerk. She introduces herself as Natalie. I wanted to follow up on what I said at the meeting. I pulled the records for the last year. Melissa called our dispatch line 18 times requesting tows. 12 of those calls did not have matching work orders from the property manager. We denied most of them, but 3 went through because she claimed it was an emergency and promised to send the paperwork later. She never did. I ask if she can send me copies. Natalie hesitates. I can send them to the HOA management or to law enforcement, but not directly to a resident. If you file a police report, I can provide them as evidence. I already have an incident number. I give it to her, and she says she will follow up with the deputy. A week later, Linda emails me. The audit is complete. Melissa approved 6 vendor contracts without competitive bids over the last 2 years. 3 of those vendors had financial ties to her or her immediate family. We are terminating all 6 contracts and pursuing reimbursement for any unauthorized charges. She attaches a summary document. I skim it. One of the vendors is Evergreen Property Services. The contract was signed 3 years ago, but it was amended twice in the last 18 months to add services that were never performed. The amendments were signed only by Melissa, not the full board. Linda continues in the email. We are also conducting an inventory of the clubhouse storage room. Several residents reported missing supplies. If you have time this weekend, we could use help comparing the purchase orders to the current stock. I volunteer. Saturday morning, I meet Linda and 2 other residents at the clubhouse. We unlock the storage closet and start counting. The purchase orders list 4 cases of paper towels, 6 boxes of trash bags, 3 cleaning supply kits, and a set of new work gloves. We find 2 cases of paper towels, 3 boxes of trash bags, 1 cleaning kit, and no gloves. Linda photographs the shelves and makes notes. One of the other residents, a man named Paul, points at a shelf near the back. There is a gap here where the gloves should be. The last order was 6 months ago. I remember because I helped unload the delivery. I ask if anyone checked the security footage. Linda pulls out her phone. The cameras in the storage area were installed last year, but the recordings are only kept for 30 days. After that, they are overwritten unless someone requests a save. Paul crosses his arms. Melissa had key access. She could have taken them any time. Linda makes another note. I will flag this in the report. If she took association property for personal use, that is theft. We finish the inventory and lock up. As I walk back to my unit, I pass the mailbox cluster. A torn padded mailer is wedged under the edge of the kiosk. I pull it out. The address label shows Unit 322. The contents are missing. I take photos and text Linda. She replies immediately. That is the 3rd unit Melissa listed in the fake complaints. I am contacting that resident now. An hour later, Linda calls. The resident in 322 confirmed a package was delivered last week and went missing. He assumed it was stolen by a porch pirate. I told him about Melissa. He is filing a police report. I ask if there is any way to prove Melissa took the packages. Linda pauses. The cameras at the mail kiosk are motion activated and saved for 90 days. If she was there when the packages were delivered or went missing, we might have footage. I am requesting the files from the security company now. 2 days later, Linda emails the board and several affected residents, including me. The subject line reads, Surveillance Footage Review Results. The email includes 3 video clips. Clip 1 shows Melissa standing at the mailbox cluster on a Tuesday morning 3 weeks ago. A delivery driver drops a stack of packages on the ground near the kiosk and leaves. Melissa looks around, picks up 2 packages, and walks toward the parking lot. The timestamp is 8:42 in the morning. Clip 2 shows the same location 5 days later. Melissa approaches the kiosk with a shopping bag. She sets the bag down, opens the kiosk with a key, and removes several items from the package shelf inside. She puts the items in the shopping bag and walks away. The timestamp is 7:15 in the morning. Clip 3 shows the trash enclosure area on a different day. Melissa opens the enclosure gate, drops a torn mailer on the ground, and takes a photo with her phone. Then she picks up the mailer and walks toward the management office. The timestamp is 6:50 in the morning, the same day she confronted me. I watch all 3 clips twice. The 3rd clip is the proof. Melissa did not find the torn mailer near my bins. She planted it. Linda includes a note at the bottom of the email. I have forwarded these clips to the Seattle Police Department and to the affected residents. The board is meeting tomorrow to discuss next steps. Criminal charges are likely. The next evening, Richard sends an update. The board has voted to terminate Melissa's membership in the association and pursue a civil claim for restitution. The police have opened a theft investigation. Several residents have filed reports. The tow yard has confirmed they will no longer accept tow requests from Melissa and are reviewing their contract procedures. I reply with a thank you and close my laptop. My phone buzzes. It is Caleb. Did you see the group chat? I open it. Melissa has posted a final message. She claims she is being persecuted by a corrupt board and a vendetta by certain residents. She insists she will be vindicated and will return. The post has no reactions. Caleb texts, "No one is buying it." She is done. 3 weeks later, I get a call from the deputy who took my initial report. He says, "We have concluded the investigation. Melissa Garner has been charged with theft and filing a false police report. The prosecutor is moving forward. You may be called as a witness if it goes to trial, but most of these cases settle." I ask about the restitution. He says the civil case is separate, but the evidence from the criminal case will support it. You should talk to an attorney if you want to pursue damages for the harassment. I thank him and hang up. That afternoon, I meet Natalie, the tow yard clerk, at a coffee shop near the complex. She brings a folder with the vendor invoice packets I requested. She slides it across the table. "These are copies. The originals are with the police. But I thought you would want to see them." Melissa covered up sections of the invoices before she submitted them to the board. The covered sections show the charges she added without authorization. One of them is a towing fee for your car that was never actually scheduled. I flip through the pages. The covered section on one invoice lists a tow authorization dated the same day Melissa confronted me. The amount is $450. The authorization signature line is blank. Natalie taps the page. She submitted this to our billing department and said the board approved it. Our dispatcher caught the missing signature and flagged it. That is when I reported it to my supervisor. If it had gone through, you would have been billed and your car would have been towed. I ask if the board knows. She nods. Linda has copies. This is part of the civil claim. I thank her and head back to my unit. My refinance finally closes 2 weeks later. The lender confirms no liens, no violations, no issues. I get the keys to the condo outright. The board schedules a special meeting to approve new compliance procedures. All access suspensions now require a majority board vote. All vendor authorizations require dual signatures. All complaints must be filed through the portal with mandatory documentation uploaded within 48 hours. If documentation is missing, the complaint is auto-dismissed. Richard opens the floor for questions. A resident in the back raises her hand. What happens if Melissa tries to come back? Richard does not hesitate. She has been banned from all association property in common areas. If she trespasses, we will call the police. Her membership has been terminated. She has no legal standing to participate in board activities. The meeting wraps. As I leave, Caleb catches me in the parking lot. "You did it. You actually took her down." I shake my head. She took herself down. I just documented it. He grins. Still. That doorbell footage was the key. Without that timestamp, she could have kept lying. A week later, I am walking to my car when I see a Seattle police cruiser parked near the management office. The deputy from before is standing at the hood writing a report. Melissa is leaning against the passenger door with her arms crossed, talking rapidly into her phone. I slow down and watch. The deputy looks up and motions for her to end the call. She does not. He raises his voice. "Ma'am, I need you to put the phone down and answer my questions." She keeps talking. The deputy steps closer and repeats the request. She finally lowers the phone but does not end the call. She starts narrating for whoever is on the line. "This officer is harassing me. I came here to retrieve personal property and I am being detained without cause." The deputy shakes his head. "You are not being detained. You are being asked to leave private property after multiple residents reported you trespassing." Melissa waves her clipboard. "I have a right to access association records. I am still a member." The deputy pulls out his own phone and shows her something on the screen. "According to the management company, your membership was terminated 3 weeks ago. You received written notice. You are not allowed on this property." Melissa's phone dies. The screen goes black. She stares at it, then at the deputy, then at the clipboard in her hand. Her face goes blank. The deputy continues writing. I am issuing a trespass warning. If you return to this property, you will be arrested. Do you understand? Melissa does not answer. She turns and walks toward the street. The deputy finishes the report and hands a copy to Linda, who has been standing near the office door. Linda thanks him and walks back inside. I head to my car and drive out. As I pass the mail kiosk, I see the resident from Unit 214, checking his mailbox. He waves. I wave back. That night, Richard sends a final email to all residents. The compliance chair rule has been restructured with new oversight. All pending complaints filed by the previous chair have been dismissed. The association is required to preserve records and stop deleting portal uploads to prevent future abuse. Affected residents have been contacted individually about restitution options. A police report request that makes the story official and stops the rumor mill has been filed, and an incident number is on file for anyone who needs it. Melissa's timeline has been proven false with timestamps, and the HOA is terminating the vendor relationship she abused. The tow threat failed on camera, the vendor refused her orders, and her access has been permanently revoked. I close the email and open my calendar. My refinance is done. My dues are current. My access is restored. I have no violations, no liens, no complaints. I text Caleb. It is over. He replies, finally. More HOA drama soon.